vital into law and order is absolutely paramount.
Grant Robertson.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. It's important when we start to look at the Pokies for Convention Centre debacle to ask the question, why is transparency and accountability important? Because that's what this is about. Because, Mr Speaker, at the heart of a good democracy is the notion that the exercise of the people's will be done in their interests, not in the interests of a small cabal, not in the interests of a particular business, not in the interests of an individual, but in the interests of all the people of New Zealand. New Zealanders want simple things out of their government. They want to be treated fairly, and they want to make sure that it's accountable, it's transparent, and that they know what their elected representatives are doing. And fundamentally, in this case, Mr Speaker, the New Zealand notion of a fair go has been broken. One submitter in this process was treated more favourably than the others. A fundamental breach of New Zealanders' values of a fair go. A fair go wasn't present in this process. People were treated differently. Sky City was treated materially differently. It was not done in a transparent or even-handed manner. They're not my words, Mr Speaker. They're the words of the Deputy Auditor General. This was not a fair process. This was not a transparent process. This was not an even-handed process, and that cuts against the values of New Zealanders, and this government should be ashamed about that. The Prime Minister says he's been 100% vindicated. He has not. He has been 100% implicated in this case. Because anyone who reads this report will see that officials did not act in some vacuum. They don't go off on a whim on these things. They follow the lead of their ministers. They followed the lead of the Prime Minister, and they followed the lead of Stephen Joyce, the Minister of Economic Development. That was what was happening here. Officials have been hung out to dry by this government in this case. And the reality is, Mr Speaker, this was driven from the top. This was driven from the Prime Minister. And this phrase, Mr Speaker, will become known for many years to come, the Sky City angle. Because that's the phrase that John Key hand-wrote on a briefing that he got from the Ministry of Tourism. Close off the Sky City angle. And from that moment onwards, officials went down a path where Sky City got preferential treatment, where other bidders were shut out of parts of the process, and transparency went out the window. The Prime Minister tipped the playing field here. The Prime Minister said, wait for Sky City's bid. The Prime Minister is the person who introduced the idea of more pokies for a convention centre deal. He is donkey deep in this. But he denies it, Mr Speaker. He says in June 2012, my office has had no correspondence, no discussions and no involvement in this matter. Stop the lying, Prime Minister. Stop it. Tell the truth to New Zealanders and tell them what actually happened here.
Point of order. Doctor, the Honourable Nick Smith.
Mr Speaker, our standing orders are very clear that the Deputy Leader of the Opposition cannot make those accusations of the Right Honourable John Key.
Absolutely right. Would the member please withdraw that comment?
I withdraw that comment. Mr Speaker, the Prime Minister has to start telling the truth to New Zealanders. The Prime Minister...
Order.
The Prime Minister has to start telling the truth to New Zealanders about the involvement of his office. Here's what he also said. Sky City will get a few more pokey machines at the margins. A few more at the margins. 30% more, Mr Speaker. 30% more pokey machines is what happens there. And it's New Zealanders who will suffer. It's the terrible addiction of problem gambling that will be made worse by this. And the Prime Minister doesn't care. He's got the deal. He's the one who tipped the playing field in favour of Sky City and away from the other bidders. He's the one that led a non-transparent process. The 4th of November dinner, Mr Speaker, and the phrase the Sky City angle is what New Zealanders will come to remember the sorry saga for, where the Prime Minister intervened. Mr Speaker, I have no doubt that what we need now is for this process to be halted and start it again so New Zealanders can rebuild their confidence in the operations of government, so we can be proud again on the world stage of our transparency. We will lose from this as a country because New Zealanders pride themselves on a democracy where everybody gets a fair go. Under this government, there is no fair go any longer. It's their cronies, it's their mates. It's time for the Prime Minister to front up, tell the truth about this, stop this deal and give everybody a fair go.
Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr Speaker, I could hear the bottom of the barrel scraping as the desperate Deputy Leader of the Labour Party